The 5 scariest inspection finds of 2023. Hi, my name is Alex Gingles. I am a home inspector in the southern Missouri area. I'm a certified master inspector, been inspecting homes full-time for 10 years. And I'd like to just highlight the top 5 scariest things I've seen this year. Some items didn't make the list because it's a situation where the buyers have already backed out of the house, but the house is still listed. So out of respect of those sellers, I'm not going to mention in case they happen to stumble onto this site. So we are approaching Halloween 2023, and let's get into the top 5. And these are in no particular order. These are just 5 of the scariest things I've seen this year. Number 1, we had a septic system that had no top. So this was a house over by Big Cedar down in Hollister, Missouri. And I'm walking around the backside of this 1950s home, and I smell something. It smells like septic system somewhere, and in the bushes, in the trees, in the tall vegetation, I see this piece of metal on the ground, corrugated metal, like a metal roof material. I pull it up, and that's the septic tank. It was a metal tank, and the top of it had rusted out, and someone had covered it with something so people don't fall in, but that was a very significant safety hazard. Number 2 was I saw a very wet crawl space. So this was in Billings, Missouri, which is outside of the Springfield area. And this was a house that was about 15 years old. And when I get into the crawl space, there is no vapor barrier on the floor. And there was some crawl space vents, but they were obstructed by insulation. And so all this moisture was getting in, maybe groundwater, and there was nothing to get that groundwater out of the crawl space. And once that humidity level in the crawl space increased, there was no way for that moisture to escape. And on the underside of all of the floor joists was all this water beating up, getting ready to drip on the bottom of the insulation and floor joist. There was standing water in the crawl space everywhere, and there was some mold on some of the joists. So long term, this is going to be a huge problem if this doesn't get addressed. Number 3, we had some significant termite damage. This was a house over by Big Cedar in Hollister, and it was a 1950s house, and it had some significant termite damage. So I get in the crawl space, and the entire girder supporting the floor structure had termite shelter tubes, termite damage. And then all the joists from that girder to the front of the house all had termite damage. And on the lower side of the house, there was an addition. It was on a slab, and that was riddled with termite damage. Some of the drywall was falling down and had termite damage up in the rafters. So that was a pretty serious issue. For one, we need to get that treated so we don't have termites, but then there's a lot of structural issues because of that termite damage. Number 4 is we had some roof issues on a new construction inspection down in Kimberling City. There is a new development called the Wilderness, and it's all nightly rentals. And when I pull up the roofing on the little room that's covering the fire control system, the sprinkler system, there is no underlayment. Those shingles were architectural shingles on a 212 pitch roof, which is not the best practice for that slope of roof. So any water that gets past the shingles or any condensation, there was nothing protecting that decking from moisture damage. There were a lot of other little roof issues on that house where the underlayment was inadequate, there was nails poking through all the shingles, and this was a new construction inspection, a $1.5 million home. So that definitely needed to be taken care of. And number 5 was a deck in Kimberling City. I got underneath the deck, and the joists were pulling away from the ledger board, meaning that if that doesn't get repaired soon, that deck is going to collapse. I told the people buying the house, do not walk on the deck until you get it repaired. So remember, it's always important to have a home inspection on new homes and on existing homes because you don't know what you're getting into. So remember, from the basement to the shingles, call Inspector Gingles.